Welcome back, fans of retro games and computers. This week we have for you. On our new retro games reviews, we review the wonderful platform game Calebe Adventure for the MSX systems, followed by a miracle in programming for the ZX Spectrum computers, Sweet Fightin Plus 2. Our new retro reviews conclude with the incredible reimagining of a classic arcade in the face of Bubble Buddies for Commodore 64. Our hardware review this week test drive for you the new Dandanator Elite Plus for Amstrad CPC, an extremely useful multifunctional interface that is simply irreplaceable. In our DOS Vault, we review Turmoil, a wonderful remake of the classic ZX Spectrum game, and we remember the addictive and classic gem that was Heroes of Might and Magic: A Strategic Quest. Our Retro Adventures reviews the horrifying and atmospheric adventure game Cease to Breathe, and in our Retrospect we visit the Cthulhu mythology with A Prisoner of Ice. Finally, in our history lesson, we look back into the story of one of the original 4 home micros that kick-started the entire industry. We remember the story of Tandy Color Computer, also known as CoCo. Let's get this show on! Welcome to this week's new retro games reviews, and we begin with Calebe Adventure by Paulo Pereira Gonçalves and Calebe Rodriguez Gonçalves. This is a platform game for the MSX1 computer systems, and boy is it an amazing platform game. You are on a quest trying to recover a stolen MSX cartridge collection from an evil baron. You control our little character, who we can describe as a Link wannabe. You have the ability to attack your enemies, you are not defenseless, by jumping straight up to their face. Be careful though, a miscalculation of the jump will result in you having lost 1 heart, which equals to a life bar. You get to collect coins and find the missing cartridges. The game has 2 different gameplay modes. One of them is the standard platforming, jumping around, collecting items and bringing them to a special room. The other is more of a Legend of Zelda kind of style, the original Legend of Zelda, but with a Sokoban twist, where you get to rearrange boxes in order to open the exit to a room and recover an object. The graphics of the game are simply amazing. The animation, the color palettes, everything is wonderfully drawn. The controls are also great, responsive and with excellent collision detection. The music that accompanies the game is very good, as are the sound effects. All in all, this is an excellent game for the MSX collection. On to the rankings, and the graphics receive a 9.1. The controls, a 9. The music and sound effects, a 9. And the gameplay, a 9.2, for a total of 9.1. Calebe Adventure is a wonderful addition to the library of games for the MSX platform. It's a game with a variety in gameplay, and it's obviously made with love. You would do well to give it a try. It will not disappoint you. And from a wonderful game to an unbelievable achievement. This is Street Fightin Plus 2, an obvious homage or remake of the classic Street Fighter 2 by ZX Press. Well, it requires a ZX Spectrum with 128K of memory, but there's a damn good reason for that. Just look at it. This is the Street Fighter 2 we never got to play on a ZX Spectrum. Where to begin? The character sprites are full-sized, complete, and identical to the arcade. The game is, of course, in black and white as to avoid color clash and other problems, but the characters are absolutely stunning and wonderfully animated. All the moves from the game are here too, by a combination of keys or joystick movements. The music that accompanies the game is also wonderfully made and exciting. The sound effects, even the hidden moves such as fireballs and stuff, are all here. The game plays also very fast, and there is no delays on screen. Collision detection is absolutely amazing and fair. This is not just a great game, this is a technical achievement, a wonder in programming. We must add here that the game obviously does not use the title Street Fighter 2 to avoid any problems with the original creators, although if I were the original creator, I would be proud of this. All the characters of the game are here, and well, there's not much else to say. Let's move on to the rankings, as the graphics of the game received 9.5. The controls a 9.2. The music and the sound effects of the game a 9.1. And the absolutely amazing gameplay a 9.5 as well, for a total of 9.3. And wouldn't you know, the title of the Game of the Week. Street Fightin Plus 2 is one of the greatest games ever to come out on a ZX Spectrum. It does run only on a 128K ZX Spectrum, but like we said, there is a damn good reason for that. If only all games took advantage of the extra memory like this back in the day, we would have a far more impressive collection of games for our speckies. Either way, do yourself a favor and play this amazing game today. Now, you should trust us when we say that this has been a hard week for us. We really didn't know which game to choose as the top game. Now, this is Bubble Buddies. This is a wonderful, wonderful reimagination of Bubble Bobble, the classic platform game for the Commodore 64. There's 100 brand new levels, totally redesigned for this game. The enemies are a bit tougher this time and more intelligent, and will give you a harder time to defeat them. But don't expect the game to be unfair or anything. It's just, we would say, under up the level of difficulty along with the level of gameplay quality. All the power-ups and some new are here, all the classic enemies. The game has been designed from scratch. It does resemble the arcade version way too much that sometimes you will have a hard time believing that this game actually runs on a Commodore 64. The classic music soundtrack is here in all its glory, as are the sound effects. There's nothing to worry about the controls, as they are also the classic ones. This is a game by Geon3 and it's simply amazing. Now, on to the rankings of the game, and the graphics receive a 9.2. The controls, a 9. The music and sound effects, a 9.2 as well. And the gameplay, a 9.1. For a total ranking of 9.1. Bubble Buddies is probably one of the best platform games for the Commodore 64, bringing back to life one of the best arcade games ever. Needless to say that Bubble Buddies include a 2-player mode, so you can enjoy this wonderful retro game, new retro reimagined game with a buddy of yours for top fun. Now welcome to this week's hardware review. This week we have something really special. It's for the Amstrad CPC again, and this is the new Dandanator Elite Plus for the Amstrad CPC by the Rankanuo team. It is a quite multifunctional and unique new Dandanator cartridge with many functions. As you can see, it has a lot of switches. There is a reset switch. Here you choose whether you're going to use the cartridge or not. We're going to talk about this. We're going to show you the function of the alter button. This is a USB connector to the PC in order to load up new ROMs. And of course, this is the disable button. We're going to talk about this as well. It plugs directly into your Amstrad CPC's Edge connector. It is very well built. Its construction is impressive, I would dare say. And this is the cartridge. It's the first interface of this kind that you can plug into a cartridge, so you can have various collections of ROMs on different cartridges. It's quite impressive, actually. It's very easy to plug in and use. Now let's go connect it, see how it works, and come back to sum up our findings. Alright, here we go, and we begin our test of the Elite Plus new Dandanator. Turning off and on the Amstrad, and you're greeted by this quite wonderful and colorful menu. Now these are the games that are pre-installed on the cartridge, the main cartridge, the Dandanator. You can see information about how much memory is required to run the game. Second page, you just choose the game, and there you go. It's as simple as that. Now, the reset button resets the cartridge, not the Amstrad, and brings you back to this menu. Choosing another game, as simple as that. And again, you're good to go. It's very easy and it's very, very fast whilst loading games. I have not inserted a joystick. You know, it's just testing purposes, so. Now, reset again, and we're gonna try something different now. Turning it off, and I'm gonna turn the switch for the cartridge to the on. Turning on the Amstrad, and as you can see, there's a whole different series of games now. Now it reads and loads all the ROMs that we have placed inside the cartridge that I've shown you earlier. Let's choose any game. I'm not sure about the keys here, but you can see the game running just perfectly. Let's reset and try another. Arkanoid 2. And I have no idea of the keys. Now, let's go to something equally important here. The game includes also a test function for the Amstrad and the cartridge. All you have to do is when you turn on the Amstrad, you keep the alter button pressed. And you will be greeted by this screen. I'm letting it go now. There it is. It's the Amstrad Diagnostics, when you can run a variety of tests here. One final thing. Now, here, as you can see on the upper side of the menu, it says Loader and USB Game. Now, in the loader, if you press it, if you have connected with a USB cable the cartridge to your PC, you can rewrite the internal or external EEPROM to insert a new ROM set. There is a program that will convert them, and then you're good to go. You will have to connect it whilst the Amstrad is on, and you will have to follow the directions found on the site very, very carefully. But once you get the hang of it, it's pretty easy, trust me. So, there you have it, an excellent multi-cartridge interface for the Amstrad CPC that will make your life much easier to play your games with. And let's go sum up our findings. Now, needless to say that the Elite new Dandanator Plus is a very impressive cartridge. The process of updating the cartridges with new ROM collections is a bit complicated, and I have run into a variety of problems that other users have as well. Mostly, the most important problem is the refusal of the ROM creator program to run, even though I had the correct Java version. But if you look up on the internet various solutions, eventually you will get over that stuff. It's easy after that to write to the cartridges your new collections. As we said at the beginning of the review, this is a very sturdy, very well built cartridge. It's very easy to use with a wonderful user interface. It's one of the best recommendations out there. Completely multifunctional. It will give you everything you need in order to enjoy your Amstrad CPC and your collection of games. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you here next week. Welcome to the DOS Vault. This is Turmoil by Langford Productions. It's a platform game, actually a remake of a classic ZX Spectrum game. You play as Mick the Mechanic and you try to escape from the mad ruler of El-Kazi, the Sheikh Abdul Al-Kohol. You try to collect enough oil for the engine of your car in order to escape. There is also a variety of mechanicals too, that you can use in order to attack and survive an attack by the various fighters that are bound to, well, slice and dice you in order to protect the sake's oil. It's a very fun and original game, a remake of a classic one, like we said, from the ZX Spectrum game, and there is even the ability to switch to the classic presentation. The graphics of the game are very well animated and with a wonderful color palette. The music and the sound effects are also very good and very fun. The controls are easy to master and the collision detection is fair. Bear in mind that the game is a bit on the tough side, so you're gonna need your best skills. Now, on to the rankings of the game, and the graphics receive a 9. The controls of the game receive a 9 as well. The music and the sound effects an 8.8. And the gameplay an 8.7. For a total of 8.9. Turmoil is a wonderful remake of a classic platform game. It is fun to play, even though it's a bit tough sometimes. It will still give you many hours of fun, and it's worth visiting. Try it out for yourself. In our retrospect today on our DOS Vault, we remember the classic strategy game Heroes of Might and Magic, a strategic quest by New World Computing. This was the first part in a whole series of games that are very, very loved by the gamers even to this day. There is a series of campaigns that you can play, or play single scenarios. But to sum up the gameplay, you control a knight. You have a castle as your base in which you can build various buildings by the resources you gather in each turn. Those resources can come from conquered mines or can be found in chests. You slowly build your castle, acquire new armies, and then you go about the world map, exploring various interesting locations that may hide even more powerful treasures and artifacts, or deadly dangers. When you encounter an enemy or an opponent, as the game could also be played in multiplayer, the screen changes into the more strategic view. In this, the armies, your army and the enemy's armies, are set on the opposite sides. You can see the number of each unit, meaning that you have that many soldiers, and you move each turn. You can cast spells or special abilities. Your knight, or a wizard, or whatever your character is, also levels up, acquiring new skills and spells. Now, the game became a classic almost instantly and started a very successful franchise. The graphics of the game were extremely well made and animated for their day, and there was even a CD version for the already great music soundtrack that expanded the sound capabilities of the game even further in a CD version. The controls of the game are entirely by the mouse, and they're very simple. The gameplay is addictive, and this game is still one of the best strategy games you can play. On to the rankings, and the graphics of the game receive a 9.2. The controls a 9.2 as well. The music and sound effects a 9.3. And the gameplay a 9.4. for a total of 9.3. Heroes of Might and Magic is a wonderful classic game for the MS-DOS that if you revisit it today, you will find out that it's as addictive and wonderful as it was back in the day, and it will immediately hook you with its gameplay. Welcome to this week's Retro Adventures, and we begin our reviews with Cease to Breathe, a horror point-and-click adventure game that's reminiscent of the classic era of games like Deja Vu and Uninvited. This game is by Sam Thule, and it's, let's say, a new approach in a classic way to the genre. You find yourself after a car accident to an isolated mansion, and instead of waiting for help, of course, you enter the mysterious house, only to be faced by the horrors that lie within. The game is played entirely with the mouse, and if you ever played one of the aforementioned previous games that I said, you will find yourself right at home. You click at various points on the window that represents your view of the world. Some items can be interacted with. You have 8 icons with commands such as look, go, open, etc. that you can interact with the world or the items in your inventory. There's also a save and load icon, and of course an exit menu. Now the game's graphics are handmade, and even though they're not something, let's say, to write home about, they're still very well designed, very well drawn, and they manage to infuse a horror atmosphere sufficiently into the game. They are a labor of love, and that's obvious when you play the game. The plot, well, we're not going to talk about the plot that much as to not ruin the story. Suffice to say that it's a very, very good mystery. There is a wonderful intro music, and the rest of the game is surrounded by various sound effects that help the horror atmosphere. Of course, the puzzles of the game are very smart and very well done, and I didn't find anything out of the ordinary or irrational. The controls, like we said, are really easy, and I don't think anyone would have any troubles. The rankings of the game are as follows. The graphics receive an 8. The puzzles of the game, a 9. The music and sound effects, an 8. And controls and gameplay, a 9.1. For a total of 8.5. Cease to Breathe by Sam Thule is a point-and-click adventure game from someone that obviously loved this genre, and it's obvious when you play his game. I would definitely recommend this game if you were a fan of the genre. Our Retrospect adventure game today is a treat for all you fans of the Cthulhu mythos. This is Prisoner of Ice, an adventure game released by Infogrames back in 1995 for the MS-DOS platform. Now this is a wonderful graphics adventure That's based on the novel At the Mountains of Madness by H.P. Lovecraft. It is, of course, a fantasy horror adventure game. It's a follow-up to the earlier game that we have also presented in our retrospect many episodes ago, Shadow of the Comet. This time the interface have been simplified by the use of a classic point and click. The graphics of the game are very well, and they also work in 640 by 480 instead of just the 320 by 200, but I should mention here that the 320 by 200 resolution has much better animation sequences, so that's something to think about. The CD version of the game also contains full speech for the entirety of the game. The puzzles of the game are hit and miss. Some of them are quite good, whilst others are, let's say, not very rational or not very obvious for their solution, as you have to find various objects not really visible somewhere in the environment of the game, and you end up clicking everywhere. The music and sound effects along with the speeds are of extremely high quality, and it must be noted here that the US version had different speeches and accents on the actors than the European version. That's something that we didn't get to meet too often back in the day. There is an autosave system for the game at various critical points, but you can also save your game classically. Of course, the most important and the most spectacular aspect of the game is the Cthulhu mythos by H.P. Lovecraft, and on that aspect the game excels. If you are a fan of the books and the writer, you will definitely enjoy this game, even if it doesn't reach the heights of Shadow of the Comet, its predecessor. Now, on to the rankings, and the graphics of the game receive a 9.1. The puzzles of the game, a 7. The music and sound effects, a 9. And controls and gameplay, an 8.7. For a total of an 8.4. Prisoner of Ice is a wonderful atmospheric game that pays tribute to one of the best horror authors of the 20th century. There was much room for improvement, though, and if you can overcome its various shortcomings, you will find beneath them a wonderful adventure game that is worth revisiting, even today.
Stay calm.
Being the outsider sometimes means you get the upper hand. This is something the legendary now defunct chain of electronic products Radio Shack and its parent company Tandy learned all too well. Welcome to another history lesson and to the story of Tandy CoCo, one of history's first home micros. In the late 70s, the ruler of the newborn home microcomputers was none other than its own creator, the Apple II. It was soon followed by Atari's 400 and 800 line of systems and Texas Instruments TI-99-4A. But there was another contestant, coming out of a company that maybe didn't have the computer industry's background like the other three companies, but if anything, they did know how to sell an electronics device. That company was Tandy, and its popular subsidiary the chain of electronic products Radio Shack. You could find a Radio Shack in almost every corner of the US in the early 70s, and soon the popularity of the new technology called the computer drew their attention. The Tandy Corporation entered the home micro market initially during the summer of 1977 with the TRS-80 Model 1 microcomputer system. The name meant, of course, Tandy Radio Shack, and the 80 refers to the popular Z80 processor by Zilog. The TRS-80, even though it was one of the earliest computers to hit the market, and now considered one of the original four, still had several limitations that prevented it from penetrating the serious users market or even being taken seriously by its competitors. The system lacked the quality and refinement of the other systems, with the crucial save-load process falling into errors way too often, the expansion interface behaving erratically, and the keyboard being of particularly bad responsiveness. All these problems earned the system the nickname TRAS-80 and tarnished the reputation of the machine as far as professional users were concerned. It's not like it could do much better for gaming as well, as the system was a monochrome computer and seemed primitive compared to the competition. Even so, the first support of Tandy in building the biggest software library of the four, the countrywide availability of the product through its retail chain of Radio Shack stores, and the second cheapest price on the market at just $599.95, with only the seriously underpowered Atari 400 slightly cheaper, managed to make the TRS-80 a bestseller. But the company's goal to achieve success and establish itself as a serious player in the computer industry has not been achieved yet. Tandy's vice president at the time, John V. Rhodes, was instrumental along with Don French, a newly hired engineer, and Steve Leininger, a homebrew computer club member and technician, in the creation of the original TRS-80. John Rhodes was adamant that the company needed to create an affordable, well-built, and modern system to establish itself in both the pro and the amateur markets. Looking for the next generation tech, he found the basis of the system on another one of the company's running projects. An experimental videotex project designed to accommodate businesses in the agricultural and farming sectors, it seemed to have all the characteristics that the new computer needed. The system already had the form of a computer terminal. All that was needed was to redesign it with a CPU of its own, re-implement the video generator, and add the appropriate ports for a home system. The end product was a system with a Motorola 6809E CPU running at 1.79 MHz, an MC6847 video display generator capable of displaying a maximum of 256 by 192 resolution with 2 colors on screen, or a 128 by 192 with 4 colors. It came with a variety of ports, including 2 proprietary joystick ports, a serial port, tape recorder port, TV out, and a cartridge port on the left side of the system. The computer was also capable of connecting to a 5.25-inch floppy disk drive and a series of other peripherals such as a light pen. The system was complemented by a simple one-voice sound chipset. It came in 4K, 16K, or 32K of RAM, with a 64K version soon to be released and the 4K retired. On the models with at least 16K, it includes Microsoft Color Basic or a version of Extended Color Basic. The keyboard was resembling the so-called chiclet keys keyboards, but that was decided upon to cut costs. The Tandy Color Computer, affectionately known as the Tandy CoCo, was unleashed to the market in September of 1980 with a nationwide campaign advertising the color capabilities of the system, the Radio Shack availability, and the astonishing price of $399, unheard of back in the day for a color computer. The computer was an instant hit. Even though it lagged behind the competition in some areas, such as the color palette, lack of lowercase characters, or the sound capabilities, it was still too good a deal to pass for most families of average or low income. The wide availability of the system didn't hurt either, as a Radio Shack could be found in almost every American city, and soon the CoCo availability spread to the Radio Shack retail chain of Canada. Come 1982 though, and the market had changed significantly. New competitors appeared, and old adversaries withdrew. Commodore, a company known for its business machines with a line of pet computers, had hit the market hard with VIC-20, the first million-selling home micro, and had now released to the world the Commodore 64, a micro that seemed to eclipse all competition. Texas Instruments, facing Tremill's fierce price war, slowly withdrew from the market, returning to its chipset manufacturing roots. Apple seemed to have become more business-focused, rerouting its efforts towards professional users. The video game industry had begun showing disturbing signs of fatigue, whilst a new wave of micros seemed to reposition the industry's base to Europe, with systems like the ZX Spectrum making huge strides on the market. On top of that, the drop in memory prices had allowed smaller companies to try their hands on the home micro market. It was obvious that a new system was needed to keep the user base loyal. Instead, though, an upgrade was chosen as a better option. To avoid alienating the user base, Tandy built with the CoCo, it was decided that it would be better to upgrade the CoCo to a more modern system. Bugs in the basic ROM were corrected, the models available were reduced to two, a 16K and a 64K model. New auto-boot software was included in the system to simplify the process of running a game or a program for the less tech-savvy. Lowercase characters were finally added, and the 64K model came with a full travel typewriter-style normal keyboard. A variety of new resolutions came with the new system too, as it adopted an improved MC6847 processor for 128 to 192 with 4 colors on screen, 128 to 96 with 4 colors also, and 32 to 64 for 8 colors, including still the high resolution of 256 by 192 with 2 colors. The new system was named Tandy Color Computer 2, or CoCo 2, and was marketed at a very low price of $159. This time, Tandy focused also on the educational market, soon earning CoCo 2 the fame of the best educational computer choice for its price. The computer was of course once more a hit, as the Radio Shack chain gave access to a pool of 11 million customers that were loyal followers of the brand's gadgets. The system, even though it achieved significant sales in US soil, never quite managed to leave the continent. The lack of Radio Shack presence in Europe, saves for a couple of countries, and even then in reduced number of stores, deprived Tandy of their home advantage. There was a deal made with a Welsh company named Dragon Data to carry over the CoCo design to the UK. That deal took the form of Dragon 32, a much improved design of the original CoCo, but the fierce European competition soon took it out of the market, ending all CoCo presence in the UK and in Europe in general. Come 1984, and the company released a different kind of system. As Tandy was always interested in establishing itself as a computer manufacturer addressed to the professionals, the rise of the IBM PC compatibles market drew its attention. On November of 1984, it released a very successful Tandy 1000, the first in a series of IBM PC-compatible computers that enhanced the PC standard in many levels, whilst maintaining the company's trademark low-price policy. CoCo's fans started worrying that the Tandy 1000 success would bring about the demise of the good old home computer. To address these fears, Tandy released in 1986 CoCo 3, the penultimate CoCo machine. The system was equipped with his 6809E Motorola CPU once more at 1.79 MHz or 0.895 MHz, but this time it can run through software at twice that speed. The system came in two models, with 128K or 512K upgradable to 2 MB. There was a new composite video and RGB output to provide better image. The sound was vastly improved with a 6-bit DAC sound controller chipset. A new chipset was designed specifically for the new system, named ACVC for Advanced Color Video Chip, that was capable of 320x200 with 16 colors on screen, 640x200 with 4 colors, and 640x400 with 4 colors as well, although that last mode was exclusive to systems with at least 512K of RAM. The system maintained its low price at just $219.95 and was completely backwards compatible with the previous two models. And its name was CoCo 3, or Color Computer 3, of course. CoCo 3 was a love letter to the longtime fans of the platform, but it ended up being also its swan song. Tandy, shortly after the release of CoCo 3, just as many users feared, started to divert all their attention to the PC market, focusing on the Tandy 1000 line of systems. As the company abandoned the platform, so did the software houses one by one, depriving the system of much-needed support. Even though the hardware was finally on par with the competition, the company had moved on. On October 1990, Tandy stopped production and support of the CoCo 3 system officially, ending a history of 20 years. The Tandy CoCo was not the first color computer on the market, but it was the first a middle-class family could afford. It was also the first to be so widely available thanks to the might of the Radio Shack retail chain of stores. But most importantly, for its users, it was a beloved outsider that gave so much for so little and will always be remembered as the little computer that could, affectionately called CoCo.